We're joined now by a couple of people in association with Beyond Basics. Of course, we're joined once again by their CEO, and co-founder Pamela Good, as well as the president of the Wayne and Joan Weber Foundation, Cynthia Hesilak, with us on the Megacast. Thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate having both of you on. So recently, it was announced actually yesterday that Beyond Basics received a $1 million gift from the Wayne and Joan Weber Foundation that will make a big impact, and of course literacy, which is a big topic that is covered and an issue that is covered by Beyond Basics. So let's start with you, Cynthia. You're the niece of Wayne and Joan Weber. Can you talk about these two individuals, talk about the organization, and then ultimately the decision to provide this $1 million gift to Beyond Basics?
Well, sure. My aunt and uncle started their foundation back in 2005, and primary focus is education, health initiatives, and feeding and housing for the less fortunate. Way back, 2006 or so, my uncle had the occasion to meet Pam. And at those very early stages of Beyond Basics, she explained the situation that she had encountered when she went into a school in Detroit just to deliver coats and be a helpful volunteer. And she discovered there was a lot more that was needed than just outerwear. And my uncle thought it sounded great and started to support Pam. Fast forward all these years, we've continued to support her. And one of our strongest initiatives, it's easily in the top 5 of the programs that we donate to, knowing that our dollars are being very well spent.
And so Pamela, of course, the co-founder and CEO of Beyond Basics, which received a $1 million gift from the foundation. Just how crucial at this moment in time is that $1 million gift to your organization, and what ways immediately and in the near future can that large sum of money be used to really help bolster the programs that you have in place to help provide additional literacy education for children in the Detroit area?
Well, it's absolutely essential in enabling us to, it's a bridge to reaching more and more children. So we were at a point in our growth, partially because literacy or illiteracy is being more and more talked about, but also because of the COVID issues and the learning loss with children. It's on the radar of people, and we have access to more children, and we needed more tutors, and we needed to train them. We needed to, get them working so that they would be ready in larger numbers at the beginning of the school year. And so their donation at this particular time is enabling us to reach more kids. And it also enables us to grow this organization so that we can continue every year to reach more and more children. And since it's an epidemic and there are thousands and thousands of them, it really is the bridge to future success for Beyond Basics. And we're so appreciative.
And so on that note, you mentioned that these funds can be used in large share to help continue to pay these tutors and to go toward the training that they undergo. Can you give us a little bit of insight, Pamela, on the training that is undergone by your tutors and the expense that brings in because of the amount of training and the extent of that training that has to go toward these tutors?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. One of the reasons that we're successful is that we do have a curriculum. It's precise. We do manage the day-to-day interactions with students. So there's a lot of data around that. But we essentially look for people who want to help children, and we train them. They go through 2-3 weeks of training to learn the various curriculums. And then they need to practice that, over and over again so that they become seasoned and can work with a child and be very successful. Our tutors are not volunteers. They are paid tutors. They become staff. They work 30 to 40 hours a week in most cases. And, our curriculum requires an hour a day, 5 days a week. And so our tutors are working with children an hour a day, 5 days a week. In many cases, they're working with 5 or 6 kids a day. And so there's lots of costs around managing an organization that employs tutors. But it is essential to give kids what they need so they can learn to read.
We're joined by Pamela Good, the CEO and the co-founder of Beyond Basics, joining us on the Megacast. In addition, we're also joined by Cynthia Hesilak, the president of the Wayne and Joan Weber Foundation, joining us on the Megacast. The Wayne and Joan Weber Foundation, having announced with Beyond Basics yesterday, $1 million gift to Beyond Basics to provide continued literacy education services to kids all throughout the Detroit area. And Cynthia, your Uncle Wayne had a mantra throughout his life that was "do good." What was the origin of that mantra, and how did he then live up to that, as well as the organization now beyond his time with his time doing that in the community, then live up to that mantra every day?
Well, I recently learned about his mantra, do good. Unfortunately, my uncle passed last August, and at his memorial service, my son made mention of the fact that when he would hang up the phone with my uncle's final words were often, do good. And I think that was something that he said to the younger folks in our family, letting them know that they're blessed, and as they grow older and get more established, that it's important for them to do good in this world. I didn't know that. And so we've all kind of run with it, so to speak, because well, first of all, my grandparents, my uncle's mother and father, embodied the motto, do good. They had very little resources, the entire family did. And they gave everything they had when they had nothing left to give. And we grew up that way. And my aunt and uncle were very fortunate. My uncle was very successful in his road building business, and he began to give back approximately over 20 years ago. And his intention is for his legacy will be for all of his resources to eventually be donated. That's going to be what we're working on over the next 10 years after he's now passed. But we were talking yesterday about the concept of do good, and that sounds like immediately go out and do something good for someone. And of course, that could be opening the door, have a kind word for someone. It could be so simple, you just have no idea of how simple doing something nice or good can change a person's day. But we were also talking about the fact that it's important for you to do good for yourself. And in the case of Beyond Basics and literacy, it's important for the children to understand that they need to identify, possibly not the younger children, of course, but at an older age, what is it that they need to succeed? What is lacking in their life, and how can they go about filling that gap that they may have? There's one young man within Beyond Basics that the story is several years old now, but he actually walked into the office and said, I can't read, and wanted to be tutored. Pam, correct me if I'm wrong, it's that Elijah's story. And he took matters into his own hands so that he did not leave the high school with such a deficit. And that would be true for anybody at any age in their life. Identify what your weakness is, find a way to correct it, get the help you need, and then proceed to go forth and do good, not only for yourself, but for others. And that, to me, Beyond Basics isn't just, the nucleus, of course, is helping people to read, eradicating illiteracy, but there's more to it than that, of course. It's identifying other things in your life that may be holding you back, stumbling blocks along the way. And so we're just kind of running with that concept. And no matter what you think about really seeking to do good for yourself or for others, you really can't go wrong.
And so, Cynthia, with all that being considered, and of course you mentioned that it was your Uncle Wayne's wish that the vast resources and the fortune that he built over his lifetime eventually all be donated to continue to do good in our community beyond his life. And so you made this $1 million gift to Beyond Basics. The foundation is making other gifts to other organizations as well. How do you consider where to send some of these funds to? What goes into those decisions? What is your organization looking for? And how does that decision ultimately be made?
Well, that's a really, really excellent question, and we thought we were prepared, but I'll tell you, it's really going to take a lot. What we've been associated with, who we've been associated with in the Metro Detroit area, have been solid relationships. In addition to Beyond Basics, just before my uncle's passing, he gave a gift of $5 million to the DIA to continue the work of the Wayne and Joan education DIA. So it's a form of an endowment. My uncle and my aunt have also given gifts to many local hospitals, and there'll be technology upgrades that are required to support the work that they've done so far. As life goes on, things are going to change dramatically and upgrades are going to need to be made. We are aligned heavily with Gleaners. We're looking forward to some conversation with them very soon. We are involved with local charter schools in Detroit. My aunt and uncle retrofitted a Detroit school building, University S Academy, back in 2010. A lot of work to do there. Oh gosh, the list goes on. We are heavily aligned with Salvation Army. We've recently had meetings with Shriners, and we're looking forward to a meeting with St. Jude Hospital. Those aren't local, of course, but they impact every child actually around the world. Education-wise is a huge initiative for us, and we just have to make sure that we are good stewards of his money, and that's our goal.
And so, Pamela, let's go back to you. Just first, we have a few more minutes with you. I do want to also ask, of course, foundations and their donations and individuals' donations are critical to the further operations of Beyond Basics and other organizations like it in our community and in other communities all around the country and around the world. But what are some other ways that people in the community, if they want to support Beyond Basics, how can they get involved and provide support to bridging the literacy gap in Detroit?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, in addition to the resources that help us tutor and, get kids reading, advocating for literacy. It is a huge epidemic across this nation, and there really aren't enough people, working to solve this in a zealous way. So we need to have people call their representatives and their congressmen and reach out to Lansing. We need the state to become aware that, the kids that are showing up to school every day, they're capable. I've said recently that, the Wayne and Joan Weber Foundation really enabling us to tutor kids that are left behind. We've been able to prove together that the children are capable. They are all capable if given intensive one-on-one tutoring. And we need to be zealously as a community reaching those students as they show up to school. And the other piece is that as we tutor more kids, we need more tutors. And so if you're interested in tutoring, reach out to us. It's beyondbasics.org. If you know someone, just tell people that we need tutors. It is such a blessing to be able to sit beside a child and know what to do to get them reading. And, it's one of those things that blesses you while you're reaching out to help someone else. And so advocate for literacy and to also become tutors.
And so, Pamela, just following that up, we know how important those educational interventions like Beyond Basics and other programs in the Detroit area and other communities as well were so important during the pandemic to prevent the effects of some of that slide that we saw in many different areas in education for our kids because of virtual learning, because of the switch between virtual and in person, all the chaos that came from this ongoing crisis. How much of an impact or how much of an importance are these interventionary tactics and programs going to continue to be as we slowly emerge out of the pandemic and get back to whatever normal is going to be going forward, because those effects are still going to be there for a long time?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's huge. And the reason is we've had more kids fall into the gap. We've made a demarcation point that it seems like the interventions that are rolled out in the schools really serve kids that are less than a grade level behind. But the kids who are more than a grade level behind do not get assessed and do not get the literacy intervention that they need through our educational model. And what we've had over this COVID period is that we have more kids now who have slipped into the more than a grade level behind. And so, our hope is that because of this, there's more attention focused on those kids who have recently slid behind, that we will embrace all of the kids that are behind and that we won't leave anyone behind anymore. And so you're absolutely right. It's critical. And I will say that during this time when most kids have fallen behind a whole school year, our students on average improved 2 grade levels. So our kids, the ones that we tutored, are not included in that group. And if you consider the fact they didn't fall behind, we have 3 grade levels of difference between the other students going to school during COVID. So we need to raise the funds for this. We need to get the tutors trained, and we need to partner with schools and get kids reading as quickly as we can.
Pamela, Cynthia, thank you both very much for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tyler. Appreciate it.